And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Well, hello and welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. It's Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel, episode 379. 379. Steve is here, W7UDI. He's running with us from the Pacific Northwest. And, yeah, man, I was talking about you. I almost invited myself over to your crib come summertime, but, you know, I'll let you know when I'm coming over there. Oh, it's a long story. I forgot it. I probably should have brought it up, but how you
trip.
doing? Yeah, for real.
Hello, everyone.
My daughter's looking at schools for her summer program to go to, and there's a great one in Seattle. Seattle's got a great ballet company there, and I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know. And it's like one of these long things. It's a long one. So I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, somebody would have to go and be there. So I'm like, I do have a friend out that way. Not that we'd all come crash at your place, but I'm like, Seattle would be cool. It'd be cool to see it and get further out your way. But that's how all that came up. That's a bit of a side note, Steve.
Nice. Yeah, I got a coworker. His wife is a professional ballerina, and I think she's part of that company.
That's awesome.
There in Seattle. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Love that art form for sure. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to our friends who may have been finding us through the TikTok. I've been doing TikToks for a couple of weeks now, and it's been a lot of fun, Steve. Just 1 minute. You can go longer than that, right? I mean, we're talking about recording video. And so I'm like, 1 minute, perfect. You know, get on there and talk about something, give a little insight into something. And I'm noticing people are finding it. It's an interesting platform over there. So if you are watching and found this show through TikTok, drop a note in the chat here. You're welcome. We'd love to meet you and say hello. 100 Watts and a Wire really does feature the intersection of life and amateur radio. Whether you're a new ham radio operator or an experienced op looking to find your people, 100 Watts and a Wire is here to help you. And we'd like to provide a little quality information, some entertainment, and of course, our community. Everybody is welcome there. And we're going to talk about, I know people are starting to already break my kahoonies talking about our boy. Where is he? Where's Scotty? I can feel, where's Scotty? And they touch their mouth.
Fabio Light.
Yeah, it's Fabio.
It's Fabio.
He's here. He was parking his horse.
Yeah.
The cat. I was walking the cat.
He's walking a cat. He's got a cat and a cape, and he has a horse chained up outside in Ellicott City. But hello to Scotty. Scotty's here. He's KC3BXN. How are you, sir?
Good evening, everyone. How are y'all doing tonight?
Okay, so go ahead, y'all, and answer that. We're doing great, but if everybody else would answer that as you're going through your day, that would be cool. A question for our people who come here. All the people on TikTok, all the people who are listening on through the podcast during the week, we invite you here Sunday nights, 6 o'clock Central Time for the live recording of this. So you're always welcome to come and engage. And, you know, I thought this week, and I did a little short video on it too, about the lack of mentoring. I've been noticing a lot in our Facebook group, which has several thousand people in it. There is a lack, or at least there seems to be a lack of mentoring. And we call them Elmers. So we're going to spend this show talking a little bit about some of the issues maybe related to the word Elmer. Perhaps the Elmers who have passed on. I think things have shifted. And there could be different reasons for that. But I started this to be a celebration of our Elmers and asked people to share the names, even if they're a silent key. We could celebrate who they were. And Steve, I wasn't disappointed. I don't know if I was surprised, but the lack of engagement on the Elmer topic just goes to confirm I think there's a lack of it happening in the hobby right now. And I can't wait to let you speak here. I'll just shut up. But I want to kind of lead you back to the day. I mean, you've been doing this over 45, 46 years now, I believe, right? You're in that range.
Coming up on 46 next month.
It seems to me.
Who's counting?
But we are, right? It's something to behold. I think it's great. But Elmering back in your time when you were coming in, can you talk about what it was like back then? And then maybe we can kind of transition into what it is today.
Back then, it was pretty intense. I mean, we didn't have the luxury of emails, videos, the technology that we have today. We just had the radio and then a lot of face to face. So if you were lucky, you had an Elmer that was relatively close or where you lived, and it was a lot of one on one, and then maybe some phone calls, some chats on the radio about various equipment or what you're doing or not doing. Today, with video, with the internet that we have now, it can be virtual, and here's a great opportunity to do it. But not everybody is asking for it. A lot of people either are embarrassed about asking for it or don't know where to ask for it. Then there are folks that don't want to teach or they don't have the skill set or the patience to be an effective Elmer or mentor. It's you got to have a lot of patience because you're going to get bombarded with the same question over and over again over a period of time because everyone learns at a different pace. So kudos to the teachers and stuff like that, but it requires patience on both sides, the mentor and the mentee. And I've kind of found in the last few years or something, there's just this stigma that people don't like the word Elmer. I don't know what it is. It's a traditional word that we've used for the last, since the 50s, I think is when the term got coined, but it's a lot of people are having a hard time with it. So maybe we need to move away from the word Elmer and just start, we need more mentors in the hobby.
Well, let's open this up just a little bit. And the folks that are here at the live show, at the recording, if you had an Elmer, you had a mentor or teacher that helped you along, put their call sign in the chat, and we will celebrate our Elmers tonight, but we're going to talk about this and unpack it a little bit more. So you're welcome to please go ahead and do that. Scotty will keep an eye on that, and we'll talk about it. Now, the word, let me first say that my Elmer is this guy right here. Here's his call sign, and I celebrate him. That's one. It's true.
A few Elmers.
I would say probably the main Elmer for me. It's more of a day-to-day thing, maybe not as many as it used to be, daily text and all that sort of thing. But anyway, so I thank you, Steve, W7UDI, for being my Elmer for a decade, I imagine, and I celebrate you. And I believe you're also a lot of other people's Elmers now, specifically because of the community we're in here every week and elsewhere and on the air. He's always helping people. So I salute you, my brother. And so let me also say that Steve's father's name was Elmer. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to... and did you tell me your dad was a ham? Was he a ham? I know...
No.
Okay, I know your father-in-law was.
My father-in-law was a ham along with my mother-in-law, but my dad worked at Caltech there in Pasadena, and he mentored a lot of students. So he ran the machine shop, which was he was a precision machinist, and so the mechanical engineering students at Caltech would come down to the machine shop, and he would assist them and help them and encourage them to get, to finish, to pass their assignments and help them along the way. So he was quite a mentor, talking with a number of students after he retired. They were really grateful of his patience and teaching them and showing them the way. Even though they were taught one way, the new tech, he was an old school machinist, and he'd show them the old school way, and so it worked out pretty good, and I got a little bit of that from him. So, but Dad was a great mentor.
So, and we're going to go to the chat too, and we'll pick up any kind of conversations. We're going to keep it free flowing here. We're going to talk about the word or the name Elmer as it relates to things, how the internet has affected teaching and that sort of thing. Steve, your Elmers, did you have a series of Elmers? I guess now we should say, were you fortunate enough to have Elmers?
When I first got in the hobby, I didn't. As time went on, I got to become friends with guys that taught me the trade, mainly in the land mobile world. And one was Ray Thill, WA9EXP, a gentleman that taught me a lot. I learned a lot from him. He happened to be a audio engineer with ABC, and
Nice.
that was his day job. But he was quite the skilled set. Had a great skill set when it came to radio, especially land mobile. So he was a big help in getting my career going in the telecommunications world. So if anyone I'd set aside, Ray would be the one. Unfortunately, we lost him many years ago, and I still think about him every now and then.
Well, thank you, Ray, for helping mentor my mentor. Scotty, do you have anybody that stands out in terms of able to help you out? You've got an extensive audio engineering background. How does it transfer over to the hobby?
Well, it was. I guess as far as Elmers go, I didn't really have a licensed ham Elmer. The guy that kind of encouraged me early on was a guy that I work with at the recording studio, Rick Ahrens, who also happens to be the keyboard player in a band that I was in with him. And he was doing radio stuff at the commercial level, like land mobile. He was big. He was real into the UHF stuff. We worked a bit with some of the Sprint push to talk stuff in the early days, and he had the whole studio rigged up with UHF stuff with heliacs going to the roof, bunch of directional Yagis. To have communications up and down all around the DC area for the service that he this tech service that he ran out of the shop at Omega Studios, and had mobile techs, and they would check in with him, and he was all into the UHF stuff, and he was a bit of a CBer as well, but never was a licensed ham. So when I first got into the radio stuff, I learned at least on the UHF, VHF, FM stuff. I learned a little bit from him, but he encouraged me to keep at it. And it wasn't until I actually started getting into ham radio and meeting some folks that I started to kind of latch on to some guys for some info. There's a local here in Ellicott City. His name is John, KA3EXE, and he's a good friend of mine. He's a longtime ham, and we chat a bit on Simplex on 2 meters, and he's been a nice source of information over the years. He's probably the closest to an Elmer that I've had, but yeah, so I kind of got into radio and Elmer through an audio guy. So
okay, it makes sense.
So that's cool. Yeah,
it makes sense. A couple of points coming out of the chat this evening. Kilo India 5 Sierra Hotel Yankee. His Elmer, his mentor, was his dad, Kilo Alpha 5, Hotel India Alpha. So we salute Mike's dad, and so does Ric Flair. Woo! You're 5'9". Thank you for that. Private Hombre, Kilo Bravo 5, Romeo Zulu Mike. That's his friend, and his co-worker helped him there. So very good. So we're sharing our stories tonight about our Elmers and mentors, talking about different things. All right, here's a tricky, prickly one. Trickly, prickly. I sound like Bob Heil a little bit there. A little trickly, prickly on this one. A little prickly. Bless his heart. He makes my list. I think he's been a lot of Elmers, a lot of hams, Elmers, at least willing to talk to people for sure. Let's talk about the no-code ham thing. Let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, before we get to the no-code thing, a lot of the old school guys, as you've mentioned, they're passing on, right? And I do have concerns about that kind of bridging the gap between people are, say, my age through your age, folks that are into their 70s and beyond. There's kind of like the old school is leaving, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of dip back. Can you give a point about, the aging of the hobby?
Oh, it's a huge issue. It's because we're not attracting younger folks because it's not the technology to a lot of people is like, oh, it's just radio. I can talk around the world on my cell phone or this or that, or get on my computer. They just don't see the art of the radio. So that's, one issue that we're running into is just we're not backfilling the crew that's, leaving, retiring. And so that's that's an issue that we got to overcome. And then the no code. I'm surprised you brought it up, but yeah, it's been a big issue. And when it first came around, it was ugly amongst the seniored fellas and fellettes. And as far as no code, and I think it was great. It brought in a lot of people. That code was a big stumbling block. It was for me. It was something I had to really, really work at to get into the hobby. A lot of people just said, I'm out. I'm not going to try it. And then once the code requirement was removed, then it was like, oh, now they're in. So I think it was great that the code went away. And actually CW today is more popular than it has been in many, many years because it's no longer a requirement.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, how it's become popular. And we've said on the show before, and you had to, and so many others here with us today, had that been a requirement for me in 2012, I would have done enough and learned enough to pass it. I had been working on the letters anyway, but I didn't stick to it because, life and whatever, and it wasn't mandatory for me. I didn't hear people so much. I still hear them on the air from time to time, and they're the ones that are like on the voice portion of the band complaining about no code hams. Come on, you should be doing that down the road, right? Maybe try that in Morse code, that conversation. But I did hear, and I think there's a disconnect between no code hams and people asking questions. The whole reason 100 Watts and Wire became a thing, it was because I would go to groups in the digital world, the internet, wherever. And if you ask a question in certain places, that's on your test. It's like you've got this like, oh no, like, oh, I should have retained all the information and I should have known it. When I think that the test is this thing we get through the FCC licensing portion of it. We may not retain and know everything about it. Mm-hmm. We may retain the answers. Some people do teach to the point of memorize it, right? But I do subscribe to the fact that I'm going to learn as much as I can and understand as much as I can. But once I have my paper, the real learning begins because exactly. now I got to go and do it. I'm hands-on. And boy, I'm unpacking a lot of stuff here. I just think that the no code thing sort of left a flavor in people's mouths where like they're not like us. And they got into this, and it was a huge mistake. And I don't know if I'm going to be helping these people. It's because of this. Anyway, any thoughts on that?
And that could be possible. I mean, there are guys in my era in the hobby that they feel that I had to do this. I had to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, and all you have to do is ABC, and you're in. And
you had to work harder, and they had to work harder. They earned it. You didn't earn it because you didn't have to work as hard.
Yeah, you didn't have to do the send code, receive code. You didn't have to do all this test. The tests are getting dumbed down. It's like you pass the test for what the standard was at the time you passed the test. If you wanted to get in the hobby, these were the hurdles you had to jump through. Okay, fine, no problem. I don't have a problem with it. And they changed the requirements over time, and I have no issue with it. But some people just won't let it go. They just will just no, 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 no. And then once we get rid of the no code, once we have this no code, we're going to bring in all these CBers and the bands are going to go to hell in a handbasket. And it didn't. It didn't.
Well,
It
real
did
quick
not.
before we're going to go to break, and we'll talk about it some more, and I hope that people will comment here in the live chat. Remember, as you're listening to this on the train or on your commute, wherever, 6 o'clock Central Time, Sunday evening, we do it live, and you're welcome to join us. We love to have a live audience with us. So, Steve, real quick, do you think the code being removed, the reaction of the code, had any relationship to the lack of Elmers or mentors in today's ham radio?
Not the code part. I think all of society has changed. I think it's part of the internet age. I see it on both sides of the fence, is that you have people here that want to ask questions, but when they do, they get slammed by the people over here who know the answers. That, well, you should know that because you got an extra class license. That was on your test, blah, 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 blah.
Question.
Yeah. How dare you ask a question? And
it was on your test.
And it was, yeah. So I see the guys in my era and longevity, we need to be more open and take the questions and not be an ass about it, and just help them along, because you know what, Sunshine? You were brand new one time, just like I was, didn't know squat. So give these people a break and let's help them out and let them get through the into the hobby and enjoy it like we did. But no, they're better. They try to be better than us. So
okay,
they're the Karens of ham radio. Ooh, did I say that?
Wow. Shots fired. Survey said Karens of ham radio.
Karens and ham radio.
There
I think
you
that's
go.
gonna be the new club band name, Karens of Ham Radio.
I like it.
There you
So
go.
here at 100 Watts in a Wire, we're not trying to quote unquote throw shade at anybody. We're just trying to get to the bottom of this, because there is a real concern about the lack of teaching in ham radio. It does exist, but we're here to help you provide, give you quality information, entertainment, and community. Let's talk about education a little bit here. This week in radio, guys, 2 significant milestones in the history of radio and electronics. November 16th, 1904, we were just lowercase g's back then. John Ambrose lived next door. John Ambrose Fleming. He patents the Fleming valve. You remember that. I remember carrying the newspaper. It said it was the first practical vacuum tube and functions as a rectifier diode. And I understood it completely. I didn't need an Elmer to tell me anything. I could barely say those words in one sentence, but I totally know exactly what Mr. Fleming did on that day. November 13th, 1906, Lee DeForest. You can't see, there's a picture in here in my shack of Lee DeForest, his tower he brought to the World's Fair in St. Louis. Well, he patents the Audion tube. It was a triode vacuum tube and was the first widely used electronic device that could be used to amplify. Just last week, we had a question about what
last
makes
week we
a
talked
something.
about that, and that was that device that
Lee DeForest.
Lead to Forest. Yep.
Both devices
was
were
the
originally
pioneer.
developed in the pursuit for making a detector circuit for modulated radio signals and are among the most important developments in electronics history. Can I get a witness? November 15th, 1896. Now, I wasn't born in 1896. It was 1897 of November. Niagara Falls Power Plant hooks to the power grid, providing long-distance AC power transmission. And that, my friends, is this week in amateur radio. Oh, thank you. I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did. Our friend Scotty is here to tell us what's going on in the world of events, ham radio related stuff. What you got?
What's going on? We got a few things coming up this weekend, November 19th through the 21st. We have a pretty big contest coming up, the AIRRL Sweepstakes contest, the single sideband variety. So for all you no-coders out there, we're going to get on some SSB. That's happening next weekend. Also, November 19th, 21st. If you're into old, plumbing valves and Audion tubes, it's the 1929 Bruce Kelly QSO party, where hosted by the Antique Wireless Association, where everyone is using equipment with the made in 1929 or older.
Ooh, damn.
That's going to be pretty noisy.
Well, that's cool.
And special event stations coming up this week. November 17th, the NRA is celebrating its 151st birthday with a special event station. K7GST out of Prescott, Arizona will be hosting that station. So that's what's coming up this week.
Beautiful. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you very much. All right, let's talk about real quick. I want to run across our screen here and let you know about people who are supporting us this week here. I want to talk a little bit about being community supported and buy me a coffee. Steve and I have been working on something very special I want to share with you. But with a few clicks, you can buy me a cup of coffee, but you can also become a member. And we want to become community supported amateur radio, podcast, video, and audio, because times are tough in the ham radio business. Sponsorships are a little harder to come by. So I've got a bit of a challenge. Kick it. I've got a bit of a challenge to our podcast listening audience, because I think that if you look at the value of the program, match it up, see if it's worth $1 a show to you. We've got levels on Buy Me a Coffee, $4 a month, right? You end up paying $40 a year for the content. So check it out. buymeacoffee.com/Christian Kudnick. And a little bit of a challenge to you, but what's really sexy, Steve, should I kick it?
Kick it.
Okay, just kick it again. Is we're going to have a little bit of a signing bonus happening here.
Oh.
Let me bring it down. I should almost get into the sexiness. All right, so listen, if you sign up to become a member of 100 Watts and a Wire during the month of November, now, some people already have. You see a couple of our friends up above. Steve, Whiskey 3, Alpha Zulu Tango, and Michael,
Steve-o.
November 1, X-Ray Romeo. They gave their support to 100 Watts and a Wire just this past week, and we thank you very much for that. So Steve-o and I have been thinking we are going to do a little bit of an extra bonus if you sign up in the month of November, right? Do the lowest one, $1 a show, right? You find enough value in it to give us $1 a show, and I challenge all of our podcast listeners to do this, because somebody's going to get a Steve-o made double bazooka antenna, right? What? Which makes me, I can feel it. I can feel something move. Dynamite! When I talk about it.
Yes.
So, look, we're going to give away, I think it's going to be a 20-meter double bazooka antenna. So if you are in now, you will be in the drawing. It's a random drawing. Anyone new. So if you're listening to the podcast afterwards, go ahead and find this on Buy Me a Coffee, right? And all the links are in the description of the podcast and this video. You could win. I don't know what but double bazookas are going for right now. They're not the cheapest antenna, but I can tell you, in terms of what's made on the market and how Steve treats the center point, just the center point alone, where it gets very fragile in the middle, and I've broken them because I've moved them and I've whipped them over and get off of the tree limb, you son of a... Oh, it doesn't work anymore. And it's because that centerpiece is pretty sensitive. But Steve takes special care in his builds, and they are strong and they work really well. So what we're going to do, if you join and become a member of 100 Watts and a Wire, you will be in the month of November. We're going to put you in this random drawing for I think a 20-meter double bazooka antenna that was made by Steve, W7UDI, and he doesn't mess around, Scotty. This is what, I don't know if you know this. You haven't seen this yet. He does not mess around. It is solid. His builds are solid because he just gives a little bit extra care. And again, not trying to poo-poo on any of the commercial makers out there, but I think he's spending a little more time on the care at that center point in terms of the double bazooka to make sure that you don't. What's going on at that center point anyway that it's so fragile, Steve?
It's basically you're just dealing with the strength is in the center conductor. And the way the double bazooka is, it's a coaxial antenna, but you're breaking the shield at the center, which in turn all your physical strength is just left at this basically the center conductor of the coax. So you've lost the any strength far as the shield, the outer jacket. So all you're dealing with is the center conductor wire and the and basically the dielectric, which is not going to be much. So I've kind of came up with using common parts off the shelf, a way to beef it up, and so far it's been pretty good. The two that I have up on my tower right now has been up since 2015, and
Oh wow.
I haven't had any problems with it. And this is a really windy environment here, so I had a couple of cage dipoles prior to the double bazooka, and they only lasted maybe a year and a half, 2 years tops, before the fatigue of the galloping, the constant galloping broke the wires and the antennas came down, and then I replaced them with the double bazooka and haven't had a problem since.
Made with Sidecar's secret sauce.
Secret sauce, dips it in there. It's got the fortitude that we're talking about. He dips it in the sauce. Smells a little different, but hey, man, it works great. So if you want to become a member of 100 Watts and a Wire, please do that. And it's a challenge to our podcast listening audience. Think about becoming a member at the $1 an episode level. It's $4 a month. And then you're going to have an extra special bonus, a chance to win a really cool, strong antenna. So thank you for that, Steve. Some other folks have been commenting here in our live show. He is Rico Babalu1. He didn't get me started in the hobby, but I learned more and had the greatest friendship with John Poet, Kilo 6, Mike Juliet Bravo, the coffee man in Long Beach, California. Todd says he had technically several. He had Whiskey Alpha 3 Zulu Charlie Alpha. He's now silent key. WW3S K8YAK. He's Mike. He's now silent key. Also, Kilo 3 Hotel Echo, now a silent key, just to mention a few. Uncle Paul says he don't remember but the call, but back in 1964, his teacher in high school ran the Radio Shack. He mentored a number of us to get us our ticket. That was 58 years ago.
That's the one person I forgot to mention was my high school electronics teacher, and another huge influence. And so he helped us along, and we built a ham shack at the high school. And
Oh, cool.
and so that's where I did my first inverted V antenna, and how to make basically a choke. And we did that on the roof of the Industrial Arts Building there at the high school. So it was we don't have that anymore today. I don't know if there's any schools that have an electronics program like they used to. It's not a common thing in the shop, but I'm glad, Todd, you had that. That's awesome. And
Don Z, one of our net control operators, says he hasn't been a ham long. His Elmers are Dave Kassler and Sidecar Steve. Seriously, these YouTube sessions were the second ham-related channel I found. So thanks, Steve. We celebrate our Elmers here. I think Steve has become everybody's Elmer in our community. He's the go-to guy with the questions. Dave Kassler, a very nice man. I met him not super long ago, but probably in 2018, I'm guessing. And his lovely wife in Dayton, I believe it's Xenia, first year maybe at Xenia. And he's an electrical engineer, so he's a very bright man. And so there you go, Dave Kassler and Sidecar Steve. There you go. Let's see, Pastor Joe has chimed in here, and we are going to hit the ban button. BAN on Pastor Joe. Just kidding. He says, I never really had an Elmer, but Forget Drake. KD2 Hotel Tango Zulu. He's a silent key, the very first person to answer my call on the local repeater. And one of the things, Steve, I think we're seeing here, guys, is that they're silent keys. These are people who are helping and are moving on. You know, frankly, I haven't had a ton of people try and help. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you go to ask questions. It's kind of, I don't know, in the digital world, I think and we've talked about this recently, that there's some bad information. You have to really be good vetting out the information, because there's a lot of stuff that's led by, one, the sponsorships that they get. A lot of these guys, I'm not saying name, or again, I don't care either way, but you got to, when people are given product, it's always implied that it's going to be the best product, right? And then next thing you know, you've got other people spending your money for you, and sometimes just getting punched in the side and saying, don't do that. Like, no, you don't have to do that. I remember Lanny, N0JZ, another one of my Elmers, and the best piece of advice I think I was given early was to slow down. He said, slow down. And because we get in, we want all the bands. I wanted it all. Like, I want, give it to me. Give it to me. It was like, this is right on my face. Give it to me. I want it all. I want a hex beam. I want this. I want 80 through 2 meters. I need it.
I want this. I want that.
need an amp. I need it. I need it. And, you know, you get this thing. You want, what's the magic antenna? Tell me the antenna where I can get everything on it. And then you figure, oh, no. And he gave me a trap. He gave me a 40 and an 80 meter with a trap in it, right? And I remember I was tuning this thing, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I got to get the whole 80 meter band. He's like, you're not going to get the whole 80 meter band. You're going to get either this or somewhere in the middle, but pick a spot. And I'm like, I don't know where I want to operate. I can't tune it to where I want to operate because I don't know. I don't know anything. I want the whole band. What'll get me the whole band, sir? It was like that. And I remember, and he said, slow down. And now I look back and I'm like, man, like, what a great, simple piece of advice to just take it easy, maybe learn the properties of the bands and see what they do, and kind of find out what 20 does, or see what 40 does for you, and what do you want to do? And it's hard to define our goals early, but,
Exactly.
We want that magic bullet. And I didn't understand back then in 2012 that there is no magic bullet. There is no magic antenna. I wish there was. Maybe it's a Yagi. Maybe it's a Step IR, but I wasn't in that game, right? So anyway, go ahead and pick it up, Steve, and then we'll send it over to Scotty.
Oh God, yeah, that was me. I was this teenager, and I wanted it all. Give me. I want to do it all. Do this, do that. The only good thing about it was I didn't have the money to do it all.
Right.
So that was, it was just, okay. So now I had to pick my battles and what I wanted to get into. And now it's, I just laughed when you were just, give me, I want this, I want that. Well, what part of 80 do you want to work? Do you want to work the bottom end? Do you want to work the top end? You can't get it all.
Give it to me all.
Well, then let's not talk about 160.
Oh, yeah.
Which little segment do you want?
What slice of that do you want?
Exactly. So it's we wanted the perfect antenna and we wanted to bust the pile up and be the first one in, and and it just we got dreams of grandiose. We got all these big dreams, but then reality hits us, and then bam, here we are.
Reality hit me with me wanting it all when I first got my general ticket. I had my FT 450. Didn't know diddly squat about various antennas and stuff. I just knew I wanted to get on the air, and we were talking about kind of the lack of Elmering somewhat. Well, here I am. I'm feeding a hamstick dipole on the roof of my house with ladder line because I've read somewhere online that it allows me to tune that thing up, all over the place. So. And, a pair of smoked output transistors later on my FT450 back to Yaesu. Learned that lesson the hard way. And that learned that I could not have it all right then and there. And that I was rein it in and be like, oh, all right, settle down. Let's bring it back and get a radio. get our radio fixed first, and then we'll take it nice and slow.
Yeah, take it slow. Take it slow. Slow down. He told me, slow down. He was like, you're doing great. You're doing great. But, slow down. You don't have to have everything. And we have this vision that we can just buy the right antenna. All I wanted in the early days, before Steve, before old Lanny, was just tell me what the F to buy that's going to give me the magic. I want the magic. I want it to be David Copperfield of the airwaves. And then there's no magic. Like, there's no magic. And then like, HF is magic.
And you were asking, what is the best antenna?
Just tell me what to buy.
What is the best rating? And it's like, well.
just tell me what to buy. And then there's the
frequency.
It always comes back, why don't you just build a dipole for 40 meters? And I'm like, what do you mean build a dipole for 40 meters? Is that the magic? Well, yeah, 40 meters. It's rocking all day and all night and in the overnight. It's a good band to kind of get your feet wet or do whatever. And I'm like, you mean a dipole? Just an old-fashioned dipole. So anyway, there you go. That's a piece of advice. Our friend DJ, he said, most have heard my story if they've hung around for a while. He was featured here on 100 Watts and a Wire. My main Elmer is my grandfather, the original W1UED. Made American radio his career, working for the ARRL for 40 years. So there you go. There you go. Thanks for sharing that, DJ. Some of the others, let's see where we are here. We've still got to get to some Ham Fest and some other answers. But if you have a question, put a Q in it. We've got some questions to get to. And that tells me I better get over to my lady. I've been putting you off for 41 minutes, girl. I didn't mean to, girl. Scotty's in to tell us what's going on with Hamfest. Still some things rocking out in November. What's up?
Yeah, what we got going on here. We got, a few things happening on November 19th. We have the New Jersey Amateur Radio Club Hamfest and Swap Meet in Parsippany, New Jersey on November 19th. The Northeast Nebraska Hamfest in Norfolk, Nebraska, also on the 19th. Another Saturday the 19th, Swamp Fest Open House in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. On November 19th and 20th, it's the Fort Wayne Hamfest and Computer Show in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And on Sunday, November 20th, Jars Fest in Benson, North Carolina. So a few Hamfests still kicking around this time of the year, various parts of the U.S. of A. So get out and buy yourself a Steve's Secret Sauce double bazooka somewhere.
If you're looking for a power solution, check out Bioenno Power, offering the best lithium phosphate batteries for your ham radios. Visit bioennopower.com. That's BIOENNO power.com. And don't forget, special offer now to become community supported and to help ensure the future of this podcast, both the video side and the teaching side, which I think we're going to move into the teaching realm. We try to teach you something every week. But we do need community support. If you join up and become a member at any level this month, you'll be put into the drawing for a W7 UDI 20-meter double bazooka. And it will be something. You put it up, take it down, sleep with it, roll around, make some contacts, and pull it back.
I don't think your wife would like you to sleep with it.
Roll over, baby. 20 meters is coming
with
in.
it, but I don't know about sleeping with it.
Only 160.
Rub some lotion on its skin. Oh, wait.
Whoa!
It puts the lotion in the basket.
No.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
We went down that road.
Oh, I didn't know. You took it too far, Scotty. Here you go. Always going just a bit, just a little too much lotion too far. Okay. So we have some questions. If you have a question, put a Q in front of it. I don't know, man. I don't know where we get these guys. It's like Maryland. That's where you get him. You like him because he's from Maryland. And then he turns around, he's got lotion. It puts the lotion in the basket. It's that guy.
Are you going to be going up to the Jersey there for that Hamfest on the 19th with your lotion in tow?
Go take a basket of lotion to Jersey. I'm coming for you, Pastor Joe.
I'm going to sell lotion at the Swamp Fest. Oh, Lord. Oh, we got a lot of problems. All right, let's get on with this. Will leaves or evergreens affect my signal? This is a question came from Lou. I was told real quick when I put up my hex beam, when I got to that point of my ham radio career, the fellow looked around, Emmett, who made the thing. He said, "You're going to have problems with these leaves." And I was like, nah. But will leaves or evergreens affect your signal?
The only time I've found any real issues with leaves and has been the higher frequencies when you're dealing with like 900 megs UHF and above, where I found that to be a problem with the evergreens. I haven't found it here. We got lots of evergreens here as far as HF goes, but and I haven't really seen it with the leaves. It could be some issues, but I found the leaves to be a bigger issue at higher frequencies versus lower frequencies.
Good to know. Thank you for the question.
Can't hit one of my local repeaters on 2 meters in the summertime because of the leaves, and in the wintertime, it's clean shot, full quieting. But in the summertime, not so much.
Interesting. If you have a question here in the chat as we do the live show, everybody welcome here, Sunday, 6 o'clock for the live stream. Put a Q in front of it and we'll pull it out and get to it. Another question comes from Paul. Why so much hate for FT8? Oh, you opened a can of worms, Paulie.
It's a new mode, and it's just the old timers. They're not into it. They don't understand it, and so it's easier to hate on it and then not embrace it. It's they should, in my opinion, they should embrace it. Whether you operate it or not, you should embrace every mode that we have in the hobby here, and celebrate it. It's whether it's FT8, JT65, or PSK31, CW, sideband, AM, FM, fast, slow scan TV, whatever mode that floats your boat or floats other people's boats, embrace it, enjoy it, be happy for them for being part of the hobby. But, haters will be haters, so that's the unfortunate part. Their curmudgeons, get off my lawn.
Remember, it's their hobby too. Let them do what they want to do. Why does it bother you? Leave them alone. Right. But I don't know why, but we don't have the hate here. We actually incorporate FT8 and digital modes into our Sunday evening nets. So there you go. Thank you for the question, Paul. Hope that helped you. Let's take another one now. Does a loop antenna have to be a perfect circle? That's Tony.
No, you don't have to. You just put it up whatever way you can get it up, and a square, a rectangle, a triangle. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. And I mean, at 2 meters, 6 meters, and 10 meters, you can probably get it perfect into a circle. But when it comes down to the lower parts of the band, RF won't care. It's the length of the wire. That's the key.
Good one. I love that answer. RF won't care. It's the length of the wire. New T-shirt. T-shirts can help the show too if you find something you like. Thank you for the question there. We've got another one. And if you have a question here live with us, put a Q in front of it. Scotty will pull it out of there, and we'll try to get to it. Here's one that I've never really understood, and it's from M. How does moon bounce work?
It's basically, you got this body out there, and so you're using like 2 meters. So moon bounce is going to work in this kind of the same principle as the ionosphere, how it affects lower frequencies like HF. But in the case of moon bounce, most people are operating at 2 meters, or I think it's around 2 meters, maybe 440. But the majority of the moon bounce folks are operating at that frequency, and it's enough there that the signal hits the surface of the moon and then is refracted back. And so these guys have monster antennas and monster power. They're running full legal limit and the maximum gain they can get, and just to overcome, just to get this little itty bitty minuscule of a signal to make the contact, and then the delay factor, just the delay to go out the 250,000 miles and then come back, and so that's the cool part. So
super cool. Well, thank you, Em. I hope that helps you. If anybody has a question, put a Q in front of it. We've got another one. Let's see. Will you be bringing back the operating events? Teddy wants to know. I think so. We took off 8 weeks, and when we took off. Like, phew, got a wife and kids in Baltimore, Jack. You know the rest. But we took off for 8 weeks. Thank you, those who know.
Just think of family vacation. That was the 8 weeks.
Yeah, it was a family vacation. A whole family, the whole community took a break.
Clark Griswold.
The family truckster is the WJZ van.
I think so. I think the operating events are cool. They were established, and we did some things that are different last time around, which was there was a lot of like administrative work that was kind of tedious for me during those events, and it was all the prizes. We would gather up these prizes and just give them away. It would be $1,000, $1,500 worth of prizes for anybody who was participating in a random sort of thing. But I love the tune-up and I love the fallout because I love portable operations. So I don't think there's a reason why it shouldn't. Steve and I had a great time one night. I don't know if it was fallout or tune-up. It was so much fun.
I think it was spring. It was tune-up because the weather was nice.
Yeah. He sat outside. I was out in the old wooden shed out here on the property, and we set up, and the lights are going out, and that video is actually up on YouTube. If you get really curious, we just got super silly, and Uncle Paul's famous. I'm trying to show the two handfuls,
the fortitude
of his signal. As we were running 100 watts or slightly less out there, we're running around. We're trying to chase stations. Steve and I are doing a live stream. And we're calling, and Steve's calling, and I'm calling, and we're trying. We couldn't get through, and then all of a sudden we hear, November 2, Hotel Yankee Golf. And they were like, November 2, Hotel Yankee Golf. We're like, son of a... We couldn't get through because he was just putting it on them.
There's a fistful of fortitude.
How you doing? I'm just running about a kilo into my old girl. You'll hear him Sunday night, 7:00 Central. So make sure you tune in and live coverage after our show every Sunday. We do a little live coverage of the Sunday Evening Net. But thank you. Yes, Teddy, I do believe we will run it back. All right. I can say we have a few minutes. If anybody has a question, we can try to tackle that as well. Many questions come in. Some are more sophisticated and will take more time, but those are the ones I picked for today. Want to go over real quick to our Facebook group to celebrate some of the Elmer's people there. Tanner, he says that Pete, November 0 Oscar Yankee, is always willing to explain, participate, encourage, and facilitate any avenue I've wanted to try within this hobby. I'm fortunate to have a great Elmer. Tanner is Kilo Delta Zero, India, Romeo Whiskey, and a fine photographer. He does a lot of sports photography and other things. I like Tanner. He's been around the community for a long time. David says, Whiskey Zero Bravo Echo Bob. He's now a silent key, and he was his Elmer. And he says, hi, Bob, you old goat. Sounds like a joke that they shared together. And the camaraderie that you have between yourself and your Elmer, I mean, it can't be understated. It is great to have somebody to talk to in general, let alone have somebody kind of guiding you along, making good decisions. Jack, he says, Howard Butch Miller, November 2 Tango. He's also a silent key. So you see here, there is a pattern of loss in terms of Elmering. And hopefully these guys pick it up, pass it back along. I mean, I think that's the hope of every Elmer, is to try to pay it forward. Ari Klaus, he didn't have a local person or an Elmer locally. He studied some online articles, magazine articles, and some YouTube videos. I did have the advantage of having an FCC radio telephone operator's license, now known as the GROL, G-R-O-L, since the late 1970s. So the technical stuff came quickly for him. Operation I learned from listening to others. Then this strange man, Christian Kudnick, K0STH, that was a fairly new ham at the time, and I learned a lot from his adventures. Thank you, Ari. He's Kilo 1 Alpha United Sierra. We appreciate you. Thank you for that. Rick, he says Kilo Alpha 6 Delta Charlie Zulu. His name was Cal Musgrave. I guess he's still going. He's a partially sighted ham who taught him everything he needed to get his novice license, including the 5 words per minute code. He just spoke to him about a year and a half ago, and he now lives outside of Phoenix and is still active on CW and on local repeaters. A true friend, even when I messed up his TS 520 and he had to send it out to get repaired. Oh, yeah, that is a true friend right there. Oh, that'll test you, huh? Oh, sorry, Steve. I didn't mean to mess it up. That's okay. I'll kill you. Ed says at the top of his list is Whiskey 5 Romeo United Yankee. His name is Hoppy, and it was his dad's boss and his first exposure to ham radio. Glenn, he has a silent key who helped him along. Kilo 3 Juliet Papa Bravo. He worked with Bill Winter for 20 years. He was an RF engineer, and he helped him. That's a Whiskey 3 Golf Bravo Whiskey. Mm-hmm. And Andy, my friend Peter Wang, XWB9PLI, was a couple years older than he was when he got into the hobby. He lived in an apartment in Chicago, and he was in a huge house. So I'd go over to his place after school, and we'd work the world on his radio. Chris, he said he didn't have an Elmer there, but his professional background helped get him prepared. And that's a story I think you hear from time to time, too. Electrical engineers, different sorts of engineers, got the minds for it. You know, we've got pilots, we've got war heroes, we've got astronauts, we've got computer, everything you can name. We have it in this hobby. Okay. Let's see. We got a question from Todd. Do need a guinea pig for Discord again?
The Discord.
I'm thinking back. Yeah, get in there. We're gonna try it. We'll try it tonight during the net. As we wrap up here, I would just want to thank everybody. Don't forget, we got a new membership perk. It's a bonus. There are some perks and advantages to becoming a member of 100 Watts and a Wire. You keep help us keep the lights on for one. There are some member benefits for you. But Steve, Sidecar Steve, is going to build a 20-meter double bazooka, and he does it the right way, y'all. I couldn't believe it. I stared at this thing. I was like, wow, he really did take care of business.
Is this?
I'm like, this isn't like anything I've ever got because, you see them, and they're small, and it's like the small PVC, and then those ends are coming out. I've showed you guys over the years. I had an ant infestation get into my center. They went marching up the line, went in there, and
that was wild. That was absolutely wild.
I have to dig that picture out. I don't think people would believe me, but ruined that antenna. Not happening with Steve. So if you're moved to supporting us, we'd really appreciate that. Thank you all very much. We want to know what you're struggling with. If you want to write to us, links are down below. They're in the chats. They're in your podcast subscriptions, descriptions. So look for that. Let us know what you're struggling with. You got topic ideas. You have questions. Let us know. We appreciate you. Want to help you, give you quality information. Steve-O's got over 45 years. I'm in a decade long, and Scotty's been around audio for a long, long time. We're going to start to pick his brain in terms of gain and EQ and compression and all these things. I say these, and he starts gyrating like a Tom Jones record. Yeah. Well, thank you, Steve. W7UD, I appreciate you. My number one, Elmer. There have been a couple people that have answered questions, but none have continuously kept me on the air and been a broadcast partner for so long. I appreciate you, my brother.
You're welcome. And for everyone, look to your local clubs. Look for just your local clubs will have people that will help mentor you. And if if one person doesn't have the answer, there's somebody else in the club that will. But there's guys that you'll find, and gals that you will find in your local clubs that will be more than willing to help you. And we're here. So just join us in the Discord group, the Facebook group, join the community, and we'll help you as best we can.
All right. Scotty, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thanks for doing all you do. Kilo Charlie 3, Bravo X-Ray, November 73, my brother.
Thank you. Pleasure as always. 7-3, guys.
We'll see you this time again next week. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we appreciate you. Hopefully we'll hear you on the net. 73, y'all.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.